We'll right here. So hold on, the other one's still, Instagram's not there. All right. All right, so I see this every day. Like I see somebody say, oh, you can't take MOTSc very often. You can't take it every day. Horrible things happen if you take it every day. You got to take break periods. That is not anywhere in research. There's nowhere in research that says that you need to take breaks or that it's beneficial. There's nothing that says you can't take MOTSc every day. Having said that, there's no research that says you should. There's no research that says it's a good idea or a bad idea. What we're looking at mostly is the idea that the chances that it has negative feedback function is there. Same thing as everything else. When we put an exogenous source in, it decreases the way the body normally does it all the time. You put testosterone in, your body regulates and starts using less testosterone. That's a thing that we see on a regular basis. So the idea is that if we put in MOTSc, your body will have lower signaling or lower functionality of cyclic AMPK and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not worried about that at all. The idea that MOTSc is a exercise mimicker is, I would tell you, a horrible way of describing it. Exercise does 50 or 100 different things. This does like 5. There's no myokinetic function. There's no neural function. There's no so when you work out, you stress muscle tissue gets damaged, muscle tissue then grows. That is nowhere in MOTSc. You have gigantic amounts of neurologic input that comes from your joints and from your muscle receptors, all those things, up to the brain that has a massive, massive play in the brain, hyperfunctionality of the cerebellum, increased PTO functionality, increased cerebral function, decreased temporal function, radically decreased amygdala function, and massive crash to the neurologic stress system. None of that comes from MOTSc. So I would not tell you that MOTSc is in any way an exercise mimicker. What it is actually can do is it can increase mitochondrial density, which is always a great thing. Never arguing against that. But the other big thing is that it really helps us to increase beta oxidation. So when we're looking at beta oxidation, we're obviously looking at the utilization of fat for fuel. So if you're trying to cut, if you're trying to work off your fat, if you're trying to pull your fat back, it's a fantastic way to go. If you increase mitochondrial density and tell the body to use fat as a fuel source at the same time, the idea is that metabolically and physiologically is that as you're producing more energy from fat, you will use more fat as fuel and thus you'll lose more fat. There you go. Because you're also using fat for fuel, your body starts relying less on insulin and not less on glucose, increasing insulin sensitivity and glucose functionality long term. So it's a great thing to do, but here's the big thing you got to recognize on this one. If you're using a crappy diet, it's not going to be that great. Still diet, I love peptides and they're fantastic. And there's some that you can make the argument that it doesn't matter as much, like retatrutide. However, I'm going to tell you what you put in your mouth every single day is critical to everything you're doing. There isn't I can eat whatever the hell I want as much as I want, and then just take peptides and I'll be fine. Or testosterone or anything. That's not how it works. So diet is still going to play a role in this. Now, here's the only thing if you're like, well, I'll take it every day and it'll be beneficial. Maybe it will. I take it every day. I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't, but it fits in line with my goals. I'm trying to still lean out and maintain function. I am on testosterone as well, so that blunts the other big issue that we get into with taking MOTSc regularly. There is research that would lean to, does not prove, does not show, but it leans to the idea that using MOTSc on a regular basis may blunt, because it puts you in a little bit more of a catabolic function, it may blunt hypertrophy. So if you're lifting heavy, if you're trying to gain mass and all you care about is gaining muscle tissue, might not be your best option. However, if most people who are doing that are also on, they've dealt with their hormones, they got their hormones where they're supposed to be. And so the increase in testosterone should override that function of lack of or blunting of hypertrophy. So, as long as your testosterone is where it's supposed to be, again, this is one of those reasons I tell you, your primary foundation on all peptides is testosterone. Get your normal physiology where it's supposed to be first, then start putting the fine edge on the blade. So, get your testosterone and get the hormones you really got to deal with are insulin, glucagon, and testosterone and estrogen. Those are your primaries. If you don't have those dealt with first, don't do anything else. So that's going to be reta and testosterone. for the vast majority of you, especially women, because testosterone converts to estrogen at the site. I should go into that whole thing because you're not going to see big estrogen increases when you take testosterone, but you have to realize they're there. Otherwise, you're going to dose yourself wrong because testosterone converts to estrogen at the site. It's not in the blood. So your blood tests will not show changes. Your physiology will. Anyway, back to the MOTSc. So if you are doing MOTSc on a regular basis, you should see some functionality with fat. Now, here's the problem with this. Again, go back to diet. If you're eating a bunch of sugary carbohydrates and things, you're telling your body, hey, run on sugar. And then you're telling your body with peptides, hey, run on fat. It's not going to be as effective. So if you can get into a higher protein, mild to medium fat, and very low or non-existent sugar-based carbohydrates, you can still use all the fiber stuff that turns into short-chain fatty acids like white rice and psyllium husk, because that's, again, fatty oxidation. That's where we're trying to go. So that would be the thing I would tell you that would be the most beneficial. If you're really trying to maximize everything, get into a more fat oxidizing state from a diet standpoint, then add in the MOTSc, and it'll kind of accelerate that. Now you want to mix in that with a little 5-amino 1MQ to really kind of tell your body, like, look, I don't want you to burn anything but fat. That's fantastic, especially if your body can handle a more fat-based diet, especially if you're making your own sugar. So again, not everybody's liver can go through gluconeogenesis as well as everybody else's, because, everybody's body works a little bit differently. So, if you start getting really, really low on carbs, but you're still getting in enough fat and protein to function, and you're starting to get tired and fatigued, check your blood sugars. If it's low, you might need to start adding back in more carbohydrates to get your blood sugar to kind of regulate. So watch that while you're doing stuff like this. Work with somebody who knows how to do that for you, easier for you. Well, watch that, because that's going to be a big, big thing. And so, again, when we put a thing together, the question is always, what are our goals? And what is the best way to get to our goals? So again, if you're like, no, I'm just trying to cut the fat, like that's my big thing. Great. You can run MOTSc, and I would never tell you to run anything for an extended period of time, except for maybe Retta. And so, you might want to run MOTSc for, 6 weeks, see how you do, come off for a little while, give yourself 3 or 4 weeks, and then jump back on if you want to. But the biggest thing on that one is this is something that you're going to have to do for you. Like nobody else can do it for you because no one else has your body. You're going to have to kind of track it. How do I feel? How's my energy, throughout the day? How's my strength? How's my energy in the gym? How's my nausea? How's my mental clarity? How's my sex drive? How's all the things, right? How's my metabolic function working for me? And then when you're on it, how is it? Take a break. How is it now? Get back on. Did I see any change? So those are going to be some of the things that you're going to want to do for you. But just, as an FYI on this, I hear everybody talk about how you can only do it like twice a week, or if you do it every other day, or you can only do it for like 3 weeks and you have to take a 2-week break or else horrible things happen. I've not found any research that says definitively yes or no on that. But I think the reason for that is because there's not a lot of research done, especially in humans, with it. There's a bunch done in animal studies, and it's showing more benefit than harm. So, if you guys have research or you even have a physiological idea of why it would be bad, go ahead and drop it on us. Talk about it in the comments. I haven't found anything that's like smoking gun bad. I haven't found anything that's like, oh, you should definitely do this for a long term. So I'm doing it that way, but I'm monitoring everything. I do blood on a regular basis on me, and I track all my stuff really well. So, I don't think it's a problem for me. So if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com, or we'll talk about it in the comments. You guys have a fabulous day. Thanks for your time.